You've been doing it wrong. Every morning when you stand in front of the mirror repeating, "I am confident, I am successful, I am worthy," you're actually pushing your dreams further away. This isn't your fault. You've been taught backwards. The entire self-help industry has been teaching us to affirm backwards for decades, and that's why most people see little to no results from positive affirmations. Here's what's really happening. When you say, "I am confident," while feeling insecure, your subconscious mind immediately recognizes the lie. It creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, a mental conflict between what you're saying and what you actually believe. Your brain, being the survival mechanism it is, defaults to what feels familiar and safe, which is your current reality. So instead of building confidence, you're actually reinforcing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. But what if I told you there's a quantum truth hidden in plain sight? What if the very fabric of reality operates on principles that make traditional affirmations not just ineffective, but counterproductive? What if quantum physics has already given us the blueprint for reality creation, and we've been reading it upside down? In the next few chapters, you're going to discover why your mind operates like a quantum computer, processing infinite possibilities simultaneously until you collapse them into a single experience. You'll learn why the observer effect in quantum mechanics isn't just happening in laboratories. It's happening in your consciousness every single moment. You'll understand how time isn't linear when it comes to consciousness, and why your future self can actually influence your present moment. Thoughts. We're going to explore how every word you speak to yourself creates a vibrational frequency that either aligns with your desired reality or repels it. You'll discover that your subconscious mind doesn't just store memories. It operates in a quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously, and you've been accidentally programming it to maintain your current limitations. Most importantly, you're going to learn the time-reversed method of self-talk that works with quantum principles instead of against them. Instead of desperately trying to convince yourself of something you don't believe, you'll speak from the perspective of your already transformed self, looking back at your current moment as a necessary stepping stone. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why living in quantum superposition isn't just possible. It's how reality actually works. You'll learn to exist comfortably in multiple potential realities until you naturally collapse into the timeline that serves your highest evolution. This is about becoming a conscious co-creator with the quantum field itself, where every moment of self-talk becomes a deliberate act of reality shaping. The old way creates resistance. The quantum way creates resonance. Let's begin. There's a fundamental flaw in how we've been taught to communicate with ourselves, and it's based on a misunderstanding of how consciousness actually works. When you stand in front of a mirror and declare, "I am wealthy," while your bank account shows $50, you're not creating abundance. You're creating internal warfare. Your conscious mind is making a statement that your subconscious mind knows is false. And this creates a psychological phenomenon that actually strengthens the very reality you're trying to change. Think of your subconscious mind as an incredibly sophisticated recording device that has been documenting your entire life experience. Every emotion, every failure, every moment of doubt has been carefully catalogued and integrated into what becomes your baseline reality. This baseline isn't just a collection of memories. It's an active, living frequency that your consciousness broadcasts into the quantum field every moment you're alive. When you attempt to override this frequency with affirmations that contradict your lived experience, you create what quantum physicists might recognize as interference patterns. In quantum mechanics, when two waves meet, they either amplify each other through constructive interference or cancel each other out through destructive interference. The same principle applies to consciousness. Your current reality frequency and your affirmation frequency are two waves attempting to occupy the same space. If they're in harmony, they amplify and create rapid change. If they're in opposition, they create destructive interference that actually reinforces your existing patterns. This is why affirmations often feel hollow or even generate anxiety. Your nervous system recognizes the incongruence between what you're saying and what you actually believe. Instead of moving toward your desired reality, you're creating internal stress that your subconscious interprets as evidence that change is dangerous or impossible. The harder you push with traditional affirmations, the more resistance you create, like trying to force two magnets together when their poles are misaligned. The real problem runs even deeper than simple disbelief. Traditional affirmations are based on the assumption that you can think your way into a new reality by repetition and willpower. But quantum physics reveals that consciousness doesn't work through force. It works through resonance and coherence. Reality responds not to what you're trying to convince yourself to believe, but to what you actually embody as your natural frequency. Every time you repeat an affirmation that contradicts your current experience, you're actually strengthening the neural pathways that recognize the difference between your statement and your reality. You're literally training your brain to become more aware of what you don't have, what you're not experiencing, and how far away your goals actually are. The affirmation becomes a daily reminder of the gap, rather than a bridge to close it. Your subconscious mind operates in the present moment, but it doesn't distinguish between what's happening now and what you're vividly imagining. However, it absolutely distinguishes between authentic feeling states and manufactured ones. When you artificially generate positive statements while feeling negative emotions, you're creating a mixed signal that confuses your internal guidance system. It's like trying to drive while pressing the accelerator and brake simultaneously. This backwards approach has created an entire generation of people who feel guilty about not believing hard enough, who blame themselves for lack of willpower, who assume they're doing something wrong when traditional affirmations don't work. The truth is, the method itself is flawed because it operates against the fundamental principles of how consciousness interfaces with reality. The quantum field responds to coherence, not effort. It responds to alignment, not assertion. It responds to frequency matches, not forced declarations. Understanding this distinction is the first step toward learning how to communicate with yourself in a way that actually creates change rather than resistance. The mirror isn't reflecting your affirmations back to you, it's reflecting your actual internal frequency. And no amount of positive words can override an incongruent energetic signature. This is why we need to completely reverse our approach. Instead of trying to convince ourselves of what we want to be true, we need to learn how to speak from the reality that already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. The solution isn't better affirmations. It's an entirely different understanding of how consciousness and reality interact at the deepest level. Time isn't what you think it is. While your human experience feels linear, moving from past to present to future, quantum physics reveals that all moments exist simultaneously in what Einstein called the block universe. Your future self already exists in the quantum field, and that version of you can actually influence your present moment awareness right now. This is the key to reversing the entire process of self-talk and affirmations. Instead of trying to convince yourself that something will happen in the future, you learn to speak from the perspective of the you that has already experienced the transformation. This isn't pretending or positive thinking. This is aligning with a version of yourself that exists right now in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Your future self isn't separate from you. It's simply you operating at a different frequency, accessible through consciousness. When you affirm from your future self looking back, something extraordinary happens in your neurology. Instead of creating the resistance that comes from trying to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you collapse the gap entirely. You speak from completion rather than lack, from achievement rather than desire, from being rather than becoming. This creates coherence instead of conflict in your consciousness. Your future self has already navigated every challenge you're currently facing. That version of you has already discovered the solutions, developed the confidence, created the relationships, built the business, healed the wounds. When you learn to access that frequency and speak from that perspective, you're not generating hope about what might happen. You're downloading wisdom from what has already occurred in the quantum field. This is where the magic of quantum entanglement becomes practical. Since you remain quantumly connected to all versions of yourself across all timelines, you can actually receive guidance, insights, and energetic support from your future self. The information doesn't travel through time in the linear sense. It's always available in the eternal now, waiting for your consciousness to tune into that frequency. Traditional affirmations ask you to leap from insecurity to confidence, from poverty to wealth, from sickness to health. The quantum gap is often too large, creating cognitive dissonance and emotional resistance. But when you speak as your future self, looking back at your current challenges, you're not leaping anywhere. You're simply remembering what you've already overcome, acknowledging the journey you've already completed. Your future self doesn't say, "I will be confident." Your future self says, "I remember when I used to doubt myself, and I'm grateful for that phase because it taught me to develop unshakable self-trust." Notice the difference in energy. One is reaching for something that feels distant and uncertain. The other is acknowledging something that feels complete and integrated. The nervous system responds completely differently to these two approaches. When you affirm from lack, your body generates stress hormones because you're essentially highlighting what's missing from your current reality. When you affirm from completion, your body generates coherence chemicals because you're accessing a state of fulfillment and wholeness. Your physiology aligns with success rather than struggle. This time-reversed method also works with the reticular activating system in your brain, the network that determines what information gets through to your conscious awareness. When you speak from your future self, you program your RAS to notice opportunities, resources, and synchronicities that support the reality your future self has already experienced. You literally start seeing evidence of your transformation because you're looking for it from the perspective of completion. Rather than hope, your future self has access to information that your current self hasn't discovered yet. Solutions to problems that seem impossible from your current perspective are obvious from your future perspective. Relationships that seem out of reach are natural from your evolved frequency. Opportunities that appear scarce from scarcity consciousness are abundant from abundance consciousness. When you learn to access your future self's perspective, you gain access to future information. The quantum field doesn't distinguish between what has happened and what will happen, because all possibilities exist simultaneously in the eternal now. Your future self's experiences are as real and accessible as your past self's memories. The only difference is the direction you're looking in consciousness. Most people spend their time reviewing the past and projecting it into the future. Quantum consciousness learns to access the future and allow it to reshape the present. This method requires a fundamental shift in how you understand identity and time. You're not a fixed self trying to become something different. You're a dynamic consciousness capable of accessing any version of yourself that exists in the quantum field. Your future self isn't someone you might become. It's someone you already are, operating at a frequency you haven't learned to sustain yet. When you master speaking from your future self, every moment of self-talk becomes a quantum alignment practice. You're not trying to change anything. You're simply remembering who you actually are beyond the limitations of linear time. You're not becoming your future self. You're recognizing that you already are your future self, temporarily experiencing yourself through the lens of your current frequency. This recognition changes everything about how reality responds to your consciousness. Everything in the universe is vibrating at specific frequencies. from the subatomic particles that make up your body to the thoughts streaming through your consciousness. You're not just a physical being having occasional spiritual experiences. You're a complex frequency signature broadcasting constantly into the quantum field, and the reality you experience is simply the field's response to your vibrational output. Your thoughts vibrate at measurable frequencies. Your emotions generate electromagnetic fields that can be detected several feet away from your body. Your beliefs create standing wave patterns in your consciousness that remain stable until deliberately shifted. When you understand yourself as a vibrational being, the concept of matching your frequency to your desired reality stops being metaphysical theory and becomes practical physics. The reason some people seem to effortlessly attract what they want while others struggle despite tremendous effort is frequency alignment. Those who manifest easily aren't necessarily working harder or wanting more intensely. They're simply broadcasting on frequencies that match what they desire to experience. Their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs create constructive interference patterns that amplify their creative signal rather than interfering with it. Most people create vibrational chaos without realizing it. They think abundant thoughts while feeling fearful emotions and holding limiting beliefs, creating a mixed signal that the quantum field can't respond to clearly. It's like trying to tune into 3 different radio stations simultaneously. Instead of clear music, you get static and interference. The field responds to the dominant frequency, which is usually the one that's most familiar and established, keeping you locked in existing patterns. Your current reality is a perfect mirror of your dominant vibrational signature. Everything you're experiencing right now, your relationships, your financial situation, your health, your emotional state, is a precise reflection of the frequencies you've been broadcasting consistently over time. This isn't judgment or blame. It's simply how the quantum field operates. It responds to frequency matches with mathematical precision. To shift your reality, you don't need to change your circumstances. You need to change your frequency signature. This means bringing your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs into coherent alignment with the vibrational signature of your desired reality. When you achieve coherence, your signal becomes clear and powerful, and the quantum field can respond with matching experiences. The key to frequency alignment is understanding that your desired reality already exists at a specific vibrational frequency. Confidence vibrates differently than insecurity. Abundance vibrates differently than scarcity. Health vibrates differently than illness. Love vibrates differently than fear. These aren't just different thoughts about the same reality. They're entirely different realities, operating at different frequencies in the quantum field. Your job isn't to create these frequencies, they already exist. Your job is to learn to tune into them consistently enough that they become your dominant broadcast frequency. This is like learning to play a musical instrument. The notes already exist, but you must practice until you can play them clearly and consistently. Your consciousness is the instrument, and reality creation is the music you're learning to play. Emotional frequency is particularly important because emotions generate the strongest electromagnetic fields in your body. You can think positive thoughts all day, but if you're feeling fear, doubt, or anxiety, your emotional frequency will override your mental frequency every time. The quantum field responds more strongly to what you feel than what you think, which is why emotional coherence is crucial for reality creation. This is where most affirmation practices fail. They focus on changing thoughts without addressing the underlying emotional frequencies that are broadcasting the real signal. You can repeat, "I am confident" 1,000 times, but if you feel insecure, your emotional frequency is broadcasting insecurity into the quantum field. And that's what you'll continue to experience. True frequency alignment requires emotional authenticity. You can't fake your way into a new reality because your electromagnetic field doesn't lie. The quantum field responds to your actual vibrational state, not your desired vibrational state. This means you must learn to generate authentic emotional frequencies that match your desired reality. Not just think about them or pretend to feel them. The fastest way to shift frequency is through what quantum physicists call phase transitions, rapid shifts from one stable state to another. In consciousness, this happens when you achieve perfect alignment between your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs around a specific outcome. When all aspects of your consciousness resonate at the same frequency, you create what's called a coherent field that can instantaneously shift your experienced reality. Your vibrational signature is constantly changing based on what you focus on, how you feel, and what you believe is possible. This means you have tremendous power to consciously adjust your frequency at any moment. Every time you choose a thought, feel an emotion, or hold a belief, you're tuning your consciousness like a cosmic radio, determining which reality you'll experience next. The universe isn't responding to your requests, it's responding to your frequency. When you learn to consciously generate the vibrational signature of your desired reality and sustain it consistently, you don't have to wait for change to happen. Change is automatic because you're broadcasting a different signal into the quantum field, and the field must respond with matching experiences. This is frequency alignment, and it's the foundation of all genuine reality creation. Your consciousness isn't contained inside your brain, it's the other way around. Your brain is a receiving and transmitting device operating within the infinite field of consciousness, and this understanding changes everything about how reality creation actually works. When quantum physicists discovered that particles exist in superposition until they're observed, they unknowingly revealed the mechanism by which your awareness literally generates the world you experience. The observer effect in quantum mechanics demonstrates that the act of conscious observation collapses infinite possibilities into a single experienced reality. This isn't metaphor, it's measurable, repeatable science that reveals consciousness as the fundamental creative force in the universe. Your mind isn't just processing reality, it's actively selecting which version of reality becomes manifest from the infinite field of quantum possibilities that exist in every moment. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold is essentially a choice about which quantum possibility you're collapsing into experience. Your consciousness operates like a cosmic radio tuner, and your current frequency determines which station you receive. The difference is that in quantum consciousness, you're not just receiving the signal, you're simultaneously broadcasting it, creating the very frequencies you're tuned into. This is where most people get confused about manifesting and reality creation. They think consciousness is like a wish list they present to some external force that may or may not grant their desires. But quantum physics reveals that consciousness is the force itself. You're not asking reality to change, you're literally selecting which version of reality to experience. From infinite quantum possibilities that already exist, your brain processes approximately 60,000 thoughts per day, and each thought is a quantum measurement that collapses potential into experience. Most of these thoughts are unconscious repetitions of familiar patterns, which is why most people experience the same basic reality day after day. They're unconsciously selecting the same quantum possibilities through habitual thought patterns, creating the illusion that reality is fixed and unchangeable. But here's where it gets fascinating. Quantum entanglement shows us that particles that have interacted remain connected across any distance, instantly affecting each other regardless of physical separation. Your consciousness operates on the same principle. Every version of yourself that exists in the quantum field of possibilities, the confident version, the wealthy version, the healthy version, the actualized version, remains quantumly entangled with your current awareness. This means you have instant access to any reality you can align with vibrationally. The reason traditional affirmations fail becomes crystal clear from this quantum perspective. When you say, I am confident while feeling insecure, you're trying to force a quantum jump without achieving vibrational alignment. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while broadcasting on a completely different frequency. The signal you're sending out doesn't match the reality you're trying to receive, creating static and interference instead of clear transmission. Your consciousness operates as both observer and observed, creator and created, the measuring device and the quantum system being measured. This means you're simultaneously the scientist conducting the experiment and the particle whose behavior changes based on observation. Every moment of self-awareness is literally a quantum measurement that shapes what becomes real in your experience. The implications are staggering. If consciousness is the creative force that collapses quantum possibilities into experienced reality, then changing your consciousness doesn't just change your perspective. It changes the actual structure of what you experience as real. This isn't positive thinking or psychological reframing. This is fundamental physics applied to the nature of experience itself. Your emotions aren't just feelings, they're quantum frequencies that determine which possibilities you're most likely to collapse into reality. Fear, doubt, and anxiety are low-frequency states that align with challenging possibilities, while joy, love, and excitement are high-frequency states that align with expanded possibilities. Your emotional state is literally your creative frequency, broadcasting instructions to the quantum field about which reality to manifest. This is why coherence between your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs is so crucial. When all aspects of your consciousness align on the same frequency, you create what quantum physicists call constructive interference. All the waves amplify each other, creating a powerful, clear signal that the quantum field can easily respond to. When your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are misaligned, you create destructive interference that weakens your creative signal and maintains whatever reality you're already experiencing, understanding your mind as a reality generator rather than just a thinking machine completely revolutionizes how you approach self-talk and reality creation. You're not trying to convince yourself of anything. You're learning to tune your consciousness to match the frequency of the reality you prefer to experience. This is quantum mechanics in action, and it's happening whether you're conscious of it or not. Your subconscious mind isn't just a repository of memories and habits. It's a quantum processing system that operates outside the limitations of linear time and three-dimensional space. While your conscious mind can focus on one thing at a time, your subconscious mind processes millions of possibilities simultaneously, making quantum calculations that determine which reality you'll collapse into experience moment by moment. This quantum processing happens below the threshold of your awareness, running the fundamental programs that create your experienced reality. Every belief you hold, every pattern you've established, every emotional response you've automated is essentially quantum software running in your subconscious system, continuously broadcasting instructions to the quantum field about what kind of reality to generate for you. The subconscious operates in the quantum realm where all possibilities exist, simultaneously in superposition. It doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined, what's past and what's future, what's possible and what's impossible. This is why visualization, dream work, and imagination can create such profound changes in your experienced reality. Your subconscious processes these experiences as equally real to physical events, programming your quantum field accordingly. Traditional psychology suggests that reprogramming the subconscious requires months or years of repetition and reinforcement. But quantum consciousness reveals that the subconscious can shift instantaneously when approached correctly. Since it operates outside linear time, a single moment of perfect alignment can rewrite programs that have been running for decades. The key is learning to communicate with your subconscious in its native language of frequency, feeling, and quantum possibility. Your subconscious mind is constantly scanning the quantum field for information that matches your programmed beliefs and expectations. If you're programmed for scarcity, it filters out abundant opportunities and highlights evidence of limitation. If you're programmed for unworthiness, it dismisses compliments and amplifies criticism. Your subconscious acts like a quantum search engine, finding exactly what it's been programmed to look for in the infinite field of possibilities. This is why conscious willpower alone rarely creates lasting change. Your conscious mind might decide you want to be confident, but if your subconscious is programmed for insecurity, it will continue generating experiences that confirm your familiar patterns. The subconscious programming always wins because it's operating at the quantum level where reality is actually generated, while conscious intention operates at the surface level of already manifested experience. The fastest way to reprogram your subconscious is through states of altered consciousness, where the barrier between conscious and subconscious becomes permeable. During meditation, just before sleep, in peak emotional states, or in deep states of relaxation, your brain waves shift into patterns that allow direct access to subconscious programming. These windows of opportunity let you install new quantum software directly into your reality generation system. Your subconscious communicates through symbols, emotions, and energetic patterns rather than words and logic. This is why rational affirmations often fail to create subconscious change. You're trying to communicate with a quantum processor using linear language. The subconscious responds much more powerfully to vivid mental imagery, intense emotions, and energetic frequencies that match your desired reality. Every night when you sleep, your consciousness naturally enters quantum processing mode. Your dreams aren't just random neural firing. They're your subconscious mind processing quantum possibilities and updating your reality programs based on your daily experiences and focused intentions. This is why setting clear intentions before sleep and working with dream states can create such rapid transformation in your waking reality. The subconscious also operates through quantum entanglement with the collective unconscious, the shared field of human consciousness that contains archetypal patterns and universal wisdom. When you align with positive archetypal patterns through your subconscious programming, you gain access to quantum information and support that extends far beyond your individual awareness. You literally tap into the evolutionary wisdom of human consciousness. Your subconscious holds the quantum blueprints for every version of yourself that exists in the field of infinite possibilities. The confident version, the successful version, the healthy version, the loving version. All of these exist as quantum programs that can be activated when your subconscious is properly aligned. You don't have to create these versions of yourself from scratch. You simply need to activate the programs that already exist. Trauma and limiting beliefs create quantum interference patterns in your subconscious programming, causing static and distortion in your reality generation process. This is why healing work is so crucial for reality creation. You're not just resolving emotional issues, you're clearing quantum interference so your subconscious can process possibilities cleanly and generate the reality you actually prefer. The most powerful subconscious reprogramming happens when you combine multiple quantum states simultaneously. Deep relaxation opens the gateway. Vivid imagery provides the programming language. Intense emotion supplies the energy to lock in new patterns. And clear intention directs the process towards specific outcomes. When all these elements align, you can literally rewrite your quantum operating system in minutes rather than months. Your subconscious mind is your direct interface with the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Every program running in your subconscious is a quantum instruction set that determines what kind of reality gets collapsed into your experience. When you learn to consciously collaborate with your subconscious as a quantum partner, rather than trying to override it with willpower, you gain access to reality creation abilities that most people never discover. This is the true art of quantum consciousness, learning to dance with your subconscious mind in the field of infinite possibilities. Right now, infinite versions of your life exist simultaneously in the quantum field of possibilities. There's a timeline where you're absolutely confident, another where you're financially abundant, another where you're in perfect health, and countless others representing every possible variation of your existence. These aren't fantasies or potential futures, they're actual quantum realities existing right now in superposition, waiting for your consciousness to collapse them into experience. Most people live as if only one timeline is real, the one they're currently experiencing. But quantum physics reveals that all possibilities exist simultaneously until consciousness observes and selects which one becomes manifest. You're not creating new realities through manifestation. You're choosing which already existing reality to collapse into experience through the focus of your awareness. The reason change often feels difficult or impossible is that people try to transform their current timeline instead of shifting to a different one. It's like trying to edit a movie while it's playing instead of simply switching to a different movie. When you understand that multiple versions of your life exist simultaneously, change becomes a matter of timeline navigation rather than timeline transformation. Your current timeline is held in place by the coherent patterns of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. These patterns create what quantum physicists call an eigenstate, a stable quantum configuration that continues to manifest the same basic reality until something shifts the pattern. Most people maintain the same eigenstate for years or decades, experiencing variations of the same fundamental reality because their consciousness remains locked onto familiar frequencies. Living in quantum superposition means learning to exist comfortably in multiple potential realities simultaneously before choosing which one to collapse into experience. Instead of being locked into a single timeline, you become fluid, able to sense and navigate between different possible versions of your life based on which one serves your highest evolution in each moment. This requires a fundamental shift in how you relate to uncertainty and possibility. Most people experience anxiety when they don't know exactly what's going to happen. But quantum consciousness learns to find excitement in uncertainty because uncertainty means infinite possibilities are available. When you're comfortable not knowing exactly how your desired reality will manifest, you create space for quantum possibilities that exceed your current imagination. The key to timeline navigation is learning to hold paradox without trying to resolve it. You must simultaneously know that your desired reality already exists while accepting where you currently are. You must be certain of your outcome while remaining unattached to how it unfolds. You must take inspired action while surrendering control of the process. This paradoxical state creates quantum coherence that allows you to exist in superposition. Your emotions are your timeline navigation system. Different emotional states naturally align with different quantum possibilities. When you feel fear, you're tuning into timelines where your fears are justified. When you feel love, you're tuning into timelines where love is abundant. When you feel excitement, you're tuning into timelines where exciting possibilities are normal. Your emotional frequency determines which timeline you're most likely to collapse into experience. Traditional goal setting tries to force specific outcomes through linear action and willpower. Quantum timeline navigation works by aligning with the frequency of your desired outcome and then allowing the quantum field to organize the perfect sequence of events to manifest that reality. Instead of pushing toward what you want, you become what you want and let it draw the appropriate timeline to you. This process requires what mystics have called holy uncertainty, a state where you're absolutely certain about your destination but completely open about the journey. You know which timeline you're aligning with, but you don't try to control how the quantum field manifests it. This combination of certainty and surrender creates the perfect conditions for rapid timeline shifts. Sometimes, Timeline shifts happen gradually as you slowly adjust your frequency and collapse into slightly different versions of your reality day by day. Sometimes they happen instantaneously in what feel like miraculous transformations, when all aspects of your consciousness suddenly align with a dramatically different quantum possibility. Both are natural expressions of how consciousness navigates the field of infinite possibilities. The quantum field responds to coherence and authenticity rather than effort and force. When you try to grab onto a specific timeline through desperation or attachment, you create resistance that actually prevents the shift from occurring. When you align with a timeline from a state of joy, curiosity, and trust, you create resonance that naturally draws that reality into manifestation. Living in quantum superposition also means becoming comfortable with what appears to be contradictory evidence. As you shift timelines, you might experience a mixture of old reality and new reality until the transition is complete. Instead of letting mixed evidence discourage you, you learn to recognize it as confirmation that you're successfully navigating between quantum possibilities. Your highest timeline, the version of your life that represents your greatest potential, already exists in perfect completion. It's not something you need to create or earn or become worthy of. It's something you need to recognize, align with, and collapse into experience through the coherent focus of your consciousness. This is the ultimate freedom, knowing that every possibility you could ever desire already exists, waiting for you to tune into its frequency and make it your experienced reality. When you master living in quantum superposition, every moment becomes an opportunity to choose which version of your life to experience next. You're no longer trapped in a single timeline, hoping things will improve. You're a conscious navigator in the field of infinite possibilities, able to shift realities as easily as changing the channel on a television. This is quantum living at its most profound level. Everything you've learned about quantum consciousness converges into a single practice, living as a coherent self where every aspect of your being aligns with the reality you choose to experience. Coherence isn't just a nice idea or temporary state you access during meditation. It's a way of being where your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, words, and actions all broadcast the same frequency into the quantum field, creating a unified signal that reality can respond to clearly and powerfully. Most people live in internal chaos, with their thoughts pointing in one direction, their emotions pulling another way, their words saying something different, and their actions contradicting everything else. This creates destructive interference patterns that cancel out their creative power, leaving them stuck in default realities that don't reflect their true potential. The quantum field can't respond clearly to mixed signals, so it defaults to whatever frequency is most consistent, which is usually their programmed limitations. Becoming coherent means bringing all aspects of yourself into alignment with your chosen quantum possibility. When your future self speaks through your current thoughts, when your emotions match your desired reality frequency, when your beliefs support your expanded identity, when your words affirm your quantum truth, and when your actions embody your new reality, you create what quantum physicists call a coherent field that can instantaneously shift your experienced reality. This isn't about perfection or never having a negative thought. Coherence is about quickly recognizing when you've drifted into old patterns and gently realigning with your chosen frequency. It's about developing the awareness to catch yourself thinking from your old self instead of your quantum self, feeling from your past instead of your future, speaking from lack instead of abundance, acting from limitation instead of possibility. Your daily self-talk becomes the most powerful coherence practice available to you. Every internal conversation is an opportunity to align with your quantum truth rather than reinforcing old stories. Every moment of choice between fear-based thoughts and love-based thoughts is a chance to strengthen your coherent field. Every time you choose to speak as your future self rather than your historical self, you're literally reprogramming your quantum operating system. The coherent self doesn't try to control reality, it collaborates with reality. You set clear intentions about which quantum possibility you're aligning with, then you surrender the how and when to the infinite intelligence of the quantum field. This combination of focused intention and relaxed allowing creates the perfect conditions for reality to reorganize itself around your coherent frequency. Living coherently also means becoming exquisitely sensitive to your internal state and the signals you're broadcasting moment by moment. You develop what might be called quantum awareness, the ability to sense when you're in alignment with your desired reality frequency and when you've drifted into old patterns. This awareness allows you to make micro-corrections throughout the day, keeping yourself tuned into your preferred quantum channel. Your relationships become mirrors, reflecting your level of coherence back to you. When you're internally aligned, you attract interactions that match your coherent frequency. When you're scattered or conflicted, you magnetize chaotic relationships that mirror your internal dissonance. This isn't judgment. It's valuable feedback that helps you recognize when you need to realign with your quantum truth. The coherent self also understands that reality creation is not a solo activity. You're co-creating with the quantum field, with other conscious beings, with the evolutionary impulse of consciousness itself. Your coherent frequency contributes to the collective field of human consciousness, helping to make expanded possibilities more accessible for everyone. When you live coherently, you're not just transforming your own reality, you're contributing to the quantum evolution of human potential. Money, relationships, health, creative expression. Every area of life responds to your level of coherence. The more aligned you become internally, the more aligned your external world becomes with your true desires. This isn't manifestation in the traditional sense of trying to get something from the universe. This is alignment with what's already trying to emerge through you as expressions of your highest potential. Daily practices that maintain coherence become as natural as breathing. You might begin each morning by aligning with your future self's frequency before getting out of bed. Throughout the day, you catch yourself and realign whenever you notice you've drifted into old patterns. Before sleep, you set intentions for your subconscious to continue the alignment process while you dream. These practices aren't disciplines you force yourself to do. They're natural expressions of your commitment to living authentically as your quantum self. The coherent self recognizes that every moment offers a fresh opportunity to choose which quantum reality to collapse into experience. You're never stuck with yesterday's choices or limited by past patterns. In each present moment, infinite possibilities remain available, waiting for your coherent consciousness to select and manifest them. This understanding brings tremendous freedom and responsibility. The freedom to recreate yourself in every moment, and the responsibility to choose consciously rather than defaulting to unconscious patterns. As you integrate these quantum principles into your daily existence, you begin to notice synchronicities and meaningful coincidences appearing more frequently in your life. These aren't random events. They're signs that your coherent field is successfully communicating with the quantum intelligence that orchestrates reality. The universe begins responding to your aligned consciousness with increasing precision and speed, providing confirmations and opportunities that match your internal frequency. Your nervous system gradually adapts to higher states of coherence, making what once felt like peak experiences into your normal baseline. The anxiety and effort that used to accompany attempts at change dissolve into natural confidence and ease. You stop trying to manifest your desires and start living from the reality where they're already fulfilled. This shift from trying to being is the hallmark of mature quantum consciousness. The ultimate goal isn't to achieve some perfect state of permanent coherence. but to become fluid and responsive to the ever-evolving dance between consciousness and reality. Sometimes you'll be in perfect alignment, effortlessly manifesting amazing synchronicities. Sometimes you'll drift into old patterns and need to consciously realign. Both experiences are part of the natural rhythm of quantum living. What matters is developing the skills to recognize where you are in each moment and the tools to align with where you choose to be. Your coherent self becomes like a master musician who can play any frequency consciously, creating the reality symphony that expresses your highest potential. Every day becomes an opportunity to compose and perform the quantum music of your authentic self. This is quantum living, existing as a conscious co-creator with the field of infinite possibilities, speaking as your quantum truth, feeling from your expanded reality, acting from your future self, and allowing the universe to orchestrate the perfect manifestation of your coherent consciousness. You become a walking demonstration that reality is far more fluid and responsive than most people imagine, and your very existence becomes an invitation for others to discover their own quantum nature. The backward approach of traditional affirmations becomes obsolete when you learn to live as your quantum self. You no longer need to convince yourself of anything because you're speaking from the reality you already embody in the quantum field. You no longer need to hope for change because you're living the change moment by moment through your coherent presence. You no longer need to wait for your life to improve because you're actively choosing which version of your life to experience in real time. This is the quantum truth about self-talk. Every word you speak to yourself is either aligning you with your expanded possibilities or keeping you locked in familiar limitations. Every internal conversation is either broadcasting coherence or creating interference. Every moment of self-communication is either collapsing quantum potential into expanded reality or reinforcing existing patterns. You now understand that you've been affirming backwards, trying to convince yourself of realities that felt distant and uncertain. The quantum way is to speak from the realities that already exist in the field of infinite possibilities, to affirm as your future self, looking back at your current experience as a natural part of your evolution. This isn't positive thinking or wishful imagination. This is applied quantum mechanics, using the fundamental principles of reality, creation to consciously collaborate with the universe in manifesting your highest potential. Your consciousness is the most sophisticated quantum technology in known existence. Every thought, every emotion, every word, every belief is a quantum measurement that shapes the reality you experience. When you learn to use your consciousness coherently and intentionally, you become a master of reality creation, able to navigate the infinite possibilities of existence with grace, wisdom, and authentic power. The quantum field has been waiting for you to remember who you really are, not a limited being hoping for change, but an infinite consciousness temporarily focusing through human experience, capable of aligning with any reality that serves your highest evolution. Welcome to quantum living. Welcome to the coherent self. Welcome to the quantum truth about who you really are.